Welcome everyone to Satsang.
Ashe.
I have a few things I'd like to say, and then if anyone have a question or a comment, they're more than welcome to put it forth. I thought I would speak some today on wherever your energy flows, it flows where attention goes. I'm sure you all have heard that statement before. Energy flows where attention goes. Very, very, very important and very, very true. So that means that whatever you pay attention to, energy is flowing in that direction. And it's not a one-way thing. So that which you pay attention to, whatever quality it is, whatever its character, whatever its nature, that will flow back to you. The energy that's going and flowing where attention goes, what you're paying attention to, it moves back into your sphere of energy. So it's very important what you pay attention to, because I've said before how it can either augment or diminish your human possibilities. It can either keep you focused in your lower nature or elevate you to your higher nature. And that's a fact that there's no way you can get around it. It's like a law of the physics of paying attention, that energy is flowing. Whenever you are paying attention to something, there's energy flowing in the direction of whatever you're paying attention to. And remember I said also on past occasions how whenever you pay attention, you are making a commitment to get involved. That's why people don't like for other folks to stare at them in a common, ordinary setting. In a setting like this, it is very appropriate because there's energy flowing in the giving of attention through the eyes, and you want that energy to flow where attention goes. But if you're on a bus or you're somewhere in a common setting and somebody's just staring at you, you don't know what their intentions are. You don't know on what level they are intended to get involved with you. So it makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, what is this person staring at? That's just an example of how we kind of innately know that there's some commitment to get involved wherever there's attention being paid. So you should be very careful what you're paying attention to, because you're always involving yourself on some level and to some degree with that you're paying attention to. With that being the case, one of the things that we do not do often, some do not do at all, is involve ourselves in evaluative and critical thinking. We don't evaluate our situation. We don't evaluate our condition to see what our real predicament is, what our real chances are, what our real opportunities are, and why we are in the condition that we're in. Because if it's true that energy flows where attention goes, then, and you evaluate, if you do an evaluation of your condition, then there's no question as to why you are the way you are. Because your attention has been on those things that would outcome in you being where you're at. In terms of your growth, in terms of your development, in terms of your focus, in terms of your seriousness, in terms of your dedication, in terms of your devotion. All of that is evidenced as being where it is in terms of its depth, in terms of its commitment in what you were paying attention to. So we can't let ourselves off the hook and say that somebody else or some other situation or there's some other reason why we're in the condition that we're in. And I'm saying that once you've been informed. Now, if you are unaware, you have not been informed, you don't have any information in terms of what your predicament is or what your condition is, then you have to learn that. That has to be discovered. But when you are informed where you're at, what it is you need to do to move from one place to another, and you see yourself not moving, there's something that you are not doing with your attention that will outcome in you arriving at where you have projected a goal for yourself to be. Which means there's nobody to blame but ourselves for the state that we find ourselves in. Does that make any sense? Or does anyone have a question?
It's a little confusing.
Okay.
But
I just clarified. You got a question?
no, I was going to try to explain it the way I think.
Okay, go ahead, fine.
You're saying that when you put your attention, what you put your attention on, and your energy goes there, so you get involved in that. And the results of the energy and the attention that you're putting that energy on, attention on, energy going to, moves your decisions and the outcomes of, and creates the situation and status that you are presently in. Is that what you're saying? And if you want to make a change, then you have to put your attention. I get it, but you can explain it either.
Mm-hmm. See, we all want to change, right? In fact, and I'm not just saying change in the sense of reformation, reform. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about transformation that's revolutionary. Mm-hmm. That type of change. Because, again, these are spiritual dialogues that we are engaging in. So it's not just a change that is lateral, horizontal. We want a vertical change, a transformation that results in our awakening into a knowledge of who we are. So we are attending, and as I've said often also before, that meditation is the disciplining of attention. We're always attending to something. We're always giving attention. But that attention must be disciplined. And the disciplining of that attention is what is meditative. And the attention must be disciplined in order for there to be a transformative change in your consciousness. And when there's not a disciplining of attention, there's not going to be a transformative change. If you're paying attention to mundane matters, if your attention is stuck in those things that are not going to help you to transform, your energy is flowing where your attention goes. So whatever your attention is on, being that is of a mundane nature, then that is going to feed back into your spirit, and you're going to reflect what it is you're paying attention to. You're going to stay in the mundane area of your way you express yourself, the way you look at things, your whole view, your whole outlook, all of that is going to remain the same. Your growth in terms of your transformation, that correlates with what you're paying attention to. This is why also, as a practice of meditation, oftentimes spiritual aspirants, disciples are given a mantra to give their attention to, which that mantra itself consists of holy names that do not refer you into the world. They refer you beyond the world. There's power within those words that also cause your consciousness to vibrate at a higher frequency. So it helps in elevating your consciousness when you give attention to that mantra and you engage in that activity, in that form of meditation practice. And it's to the degree that you become committed and devoted in the regularity of that practice, to that degree you will begin to see correlating changes in your awakening process, and to the extent to which you're able to express that in your life and your living. So what I said earlier is that if you're not seeing much change, much progress in the change of your behavior, of your thinking, of your feeling about your worth and value of your own self, your estimation of yourself, the chances of you actually fulfilling your goal and all of that, that's because your attention is dispersed into those things that would have you think and feel that way. You're not giving attention to spiritual matters that will feed back into your conscious sphere that energy that you would need to help you elevate yourself into a more awakened state and become more conscious. And once you start elevating and become more conscious, you won't pay attention to mundane things. I mean, you can't help but pay some degree of attention to it because we're living in a mundane world. But the higher percentages of your time and energy would not be flowing toward paying attention to things that are mundane. Now, I can give some concrete examples in terms of entertainment, in terms of sports, politics, anything that relates to worldly living. Now, those areas have their place, and they are a part of your life experiences. But if there is a tremendous amount of time and energy flowing in the direction of what you're paying attention to in the area of sports and entertainment and politics and things of the world, then what is going to be the natural outcome of that? You're not going to be fed any spiritual energy. You're not going to be able to develop any kind of spiritual focus as to what is the crux of a spiritual life by giving attention to these areas. Is it a little more clear? Still. Reason why I say it's kind of self-evident, because, and I say that many of us don't really engage in evaluative thinking, where you really make an assessment of what it is that you're actually doing with your time, energy, and attention. Register it, and then see, okay, well, what am I to expect if I'm giving so much of my time, energy, and attention to all of these things that are really not of a spiritual focus? There's no other way but for me to have my mind shaped by what I'm paying attention to in accordance to the character of that which I'm paying attention to. That's the way it works. Because we don't have a natural gauge, there's nothing that's naturally flowing in us that would have us automatically unfold into an awakening state of mind just by merely living from day to day. It doesn't work that way. We actually have to participate in the whole process of awakening. We have to, as I've said before, how your physical growth and maturity does not require much of your conscious participation. But your emotional, your mental, and your spiritual maturity requires a great deal of your conscious participation. So if we are spending too much time and energy in the area of things that are of worldly nature, then what is going to be the natural outcome of that? A worldly oriented mind, which is going to bring forth the expression of its kind. Like begets like. That's the way it works. The multiplicity of things come from that. So when you're in the presence and you're keeping the company of like-minded people, then you all are going to multiply that likeness and reflect that likeness in a mirror-like fashion when you're among each other. And then once you become heavily saturated in that quality of mentality, of thinking and reflecting in a very conscious way, when you are around other people who are not thinking and reflecting in that way, you're going to feel motivated to try to help them. You're not going to try to force them to think the way you think. You're just going to try to help them to become more conscious, because they're suffering for not being conscious in what they're doing. That's where their suffering is coming from. Suffering is rooted in ignorance. You're not knowing what you're doing. You don't know the causes of why things are the way they are.